Hello everyone, let's see if we can get in another game of Star Realms today. It's a fairly early in the week recording. I wanted to give myself a little extra flexibility this time. So let's see if we can get ourselves a new game and try it out. There we go, Lulu Boss L, it is their turn. So I could try and get in, but nothing's going to happen. That's how it works on the very first turn of the game. If it is not yours, you do not get to see anything yet, because there's probably nothing to see with the way that it works. Let's refresh one more time and see. Do we see anything to see? No. More refresh. More refresh. It's not going to help. I just want to get into the game, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. I'm thinking, nope, it is now my turn. They did take a turn, so maybe there was just a minor hiccup there. They got a trade bot, which is a nice little scrapper, a good starting card to have. And what do I have for starting cards? I have 3 trade to buy with. That's not a whole lot. I can't get much that helps me develop. I'm thinking I might just go frigate instead then, and if I end up scrapping it out early on, so be it. That is what I'm going to try. We see lots of scouts for that, and they went with the patrol mech, I do believe. If we could take a look, yes they did, patrol mech. That's 2 reds for our opponent starting out. That is not horrible. I'm wondering what way I should go. I'm thinking I might go for another Imperial frigate. It's not a horrible card. And do I want to just go straight damage early on? I think I might in this game with the way it's going. That might be my plan. And no, I don't know what I'm doing there. I don't have any damage this turn, so I'm not going to be able to do any damage to the opponent. We see that they got their scrapper out, and they did not scrap with it. That is a little bit odd. I'm wondering if we might have a new player here. So, what do I have that I can use? I can make them discard a card, and I can add some damage and scrap a card in the trade row. What do I want to scrap? You know, I'm going to go for a scrap on the embassy yacht, because I'm just looking for more opportunities for myself. I'm not sure what I really want to get. Oh, that's a couple things. That is a couple things. You know, the missile bot does play well with my let's go big early theory, and I think I'm just going to take it then. That's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to do a little bit of damage to my opponent, end my turn, and I'm going to have a handful of starters this next one. With 4 trade, I might buy the trade pod to give myself a little bit of trade opportunity, and maybe an explorer, and try and go for the mothership, and then call myself good if I can get to that. Although I may go for the space station instead, because that is a good chunk of trade ability that I can pick up with that, and it'll do a little bit of damage meantime, and even faction off maybe one of those Imperial frigates. So that's probably a strong possibility, and it'll depend of course on what they pick up, which they picked up the trade pod, so there we go with that. That kind of makes the decision for us. And of course, when we play all these, we get a whopping 1 point of damage, and we get 4 trade. So let's put it into that space station and see if that will buy us one of the better damage ships soon in our game. And they have a recycling station out this early. They're getting quite a decent amount of trade. And what did they pick up with that? They picked up the mothership, didn't they? Yes, they did. That is a little disappointing to see, because that is such a decent card to have. They don't have a lot of other green, just the one, so it might not be the end of the world, but it might not be great either. So that's a little bit worrying to me. What do I want to scrap? And they are going to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe. No, they're going to have to discard a card, so they're not going to get the battle cruiser this turn. And I think if I'm going to scrap a card in the trade row, that I am probably going to scrap the Mech World, because I don't have any particular desire for it, and I kinda don't want to see them get it. I'm really worried they'll pick up the battle cruiser before me, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. So what do we see? We see a survey ship, and we see an explorer as real possibilities. I don't particularly want to go for the embassy yacht, although that is a decent amount of trade. Oh man, what do? I feel like 3 in a survey ship is horrible unless I'm not really looking to expand my deck at all and I'm just grabbing the extra draw. I don't know. So I think I'm going to pick up an explorer and leave that where it is. Get rid of the recycling station and a couple more damage and call that my turn. See, they scrapped a Viper, or no, they discarded a Viper because I forced a discard. Sometimes it is hard to catch which happens. I am going to go ahead and do some scrapping of my own. I'm going to scrap a Scout. I'm going to put my space station in, and I'm going to put the rest of these guys up. And I do not have a lot of trade that I can get. I could get up to 5, but that's not going to be enough for the battle cruiser. So this is just a do some damage turn. And then it is the end. And what are they going to come up with? I hope they are not going to be able to take out my space station. If they get their patrol mech, they could. Otherwise, it's probably safe. Mothership will do the trick too. So I have to avoid seeing either of those 2 cards in order to keep my space station. If I can't keep my space station as the only thing that's really providing me a decent chunk of change, I'm going to get a little bit worried. They are scrapping and they're playing some scouts, and that is a nice thing for me to see, because that means I'm going to get to faction this guy and make them discard and get a nice amount of damage. And then when I play all, I get up to 4, which means I can scrap this for some more trade and take a battle cruiser for 6, and I could get 2 more, and I think I will indeed take the Explorer, and I'm probably going to scrap this for the draw the next time I see him come around. Oh, I do not want to end my turn without doing those 10 points of damage. That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? We do see that my battle cruiser is already up. That's pretty quick. I will draw a card, and I'm kind of hoping to draw one of my frigates and maybe chain a couple of frigates. That would be spectacular, but probably not likely. But at least I will get to do 5 damage. And, I may use the ability of that guy this early on if they play their recycling station again. What did they just pick up that they top-decked? I did not even catch it. I did not even catch it at all. Probably the Blob Destroyer, because I don't believe they had that. That is significant. So let's see what we draw with this guy first. Okay. Okay. I'm liking that. Target opponent discards a card, and target opponent discards a card. Oh. Boy. I'm up to 11 damage. Do I want to draw a card this early? I do know. I think I do. I think I do. Well, that's not particularly what I was hoping for, but I am getting a lot of trade this turn. 6. 6 is a missile mech, which is a decent chunk of damage and the possibility to draw a card. So that is what I'm going to go for, and the guaranteed destroy target base is nice. I think I'm probably done buying. It's a little early to be done buying, but my opponent is down to 6. And, ooh, that would probably make sense to use now, except I probably should have left one of my yellows up, so I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it, even though I should have done that a little bit differently. We have a couple of discards, and they did get that, so that's a pretty devastating turn, all considered. Not particularly happy with that. What do I have I can discard in here? I mean, scrap, that is. I can scrap one of my scouts, and I can play all of these guys. I don't know. I think what I want with 3 at this point is a survey ship for the draw. It's not a huge deal, but it is something. Unfortunately, I have 3 damage and they have a 4-butt outpost, and that is just devastating at this point of the game. With 6 damage left to do, blocking 3 of mine buys them way more time than I like to see dealt with. And we do have a couple of discard and draw triggers that are going to come up next turn. That is spectacular to see, and it's going to be a nice amount of damage too. So if I can manage to draw just one of my decent cards off of it, the battle mech would be lovely to see. That could probably be the game. They might be able to do a lot of damage this turn, but I think they pulled most of their good cards last turn. So I doubt we are going to see quite that big of a rush again. They still have a lot of starter stuff in their deck. It's pretty thinned down, so I'm hopeful that I have at least 1 or 2 more turns left. They're doing some recycling, and they're getting some decent cards out. Yep, decent cards indeed, and that was a great turn for them. I have to discard 1. That is not the end of the world. Draw a card with my battle cruiser. That's not great. Target opponent discards a card. A couple of triggers for that. And that is going to be a draw a card. And that's going to be another draw a card. And that's not particularly great. That really isn't. You may scrap a card in the trade row. Probably that, just in case, but it probably doesn't matter at this point. Although I think 16 minus 4 is 12, I do have enough to do lethal, so I won't mess with the other scrap abilities, and that's a win. I went nice and aggressive off the start, and I really don't think I could have survived another turn, even. This was fairly lucky for me in drawing my battle cruiser nice and early on after I bought it, I believe the next turn. And it was still really close, but it was a good game. I'm glad you guys could join me, and I hope I see you next time. Bye-bye.